miss your blue skies. I miss your clear blue skies and drinking water streams. I miss your mountains. I miss your sunrise and your watercolor scenes. Ooh, Alaska, I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
For 6 years, Jay Hammond and his crew have journeyed across Alaska. Down the trail, they met over 68 unique Alaskans doing unusual, uplifting, often courageous things in a land they trade for no other. As a pilot, commercial fisherman, writer, homesteader, and former governor, Jay's life mirrors the character and spirit of those Alaskans who have carved out a life to their own design. Alascom is proud to have sponsored the Jay Hammond's Alaska series, an enduring tribute to the grandeur of Alaska's land and the warmth of its people. Join us for a celebration of the wonderful people who call Alaska home.
Alaska, I'm coming home.
How about that?
Alaska.
How did your little dog get hurt, Norma?
A bigger dog attacked her this morning, and I think it picked her up by the back, and she's got a puncture.
Some swelling, but it doesn't feel like it went too deep. Guess what? You have to have your temperature taken.
Most all of us love our pets, yet until we lose one, we often are unaware of what an important role they play in our lives. To keep them healthy and with us as long as possible, we bring them to an animal hospital, like this one where we'll find Dr. Jim Scott. Jim has been a vet for over 28 years, but his is no ordinary practice. Besides the care he gives to our more commonplace pets, such as cats, dogs, mice, and perhaps even snakes, Jim's prime passion is for the birds. Most of his feathered friends are from the wild, and as Jim says, they don't carry pocketbooks. Since they don't have any bill-paying owners to care for them, Jim does, but not for free. In return, he's rewarded with something he values much more than money, a rich satisfaction which seems to expand and exalt the human spirit.
But very early on, I was fortunate enough, I think, to have 2 swans brought in during one hunting season. These were both trumpeters. These birds had both been shot by hunters and had broken wings. And the long and short of the story is I did get the birds put back together, and I got them back into the wild so that they could return to a breeding population. And that was a tremendous thrill, and still I consider one of the best things I've ever done in veterinary medicine. We're just going to splint it by putting pins directly into it. And I can't feel where his... where that BB is, but anyway, we have to get these off, and they're pretty tough on a raven. He'll have a good chance to be back in the wild because he has a fracture that's set up for this kind of repair. When I went to school, they didn't teach us anything about birds. Everything I've learned about birds I've had to do after I got out of school. To find the right spot. Veterinary medicine has been a very wonderful profession to me. When I can go in and pin the wing on a robin or even yet something smaller like a redpoll, it gives me the zest for continuing.
Who have we got here?
Well, this is a little goose that you may have seen pictures of in the paper. What does he look like? Yeah, say hi. And because some careless people threw away some fish line, it no longer has any feet.
I'll be darned. And you're building artificial feet for her, though.
We're going to build feet that are made out of silicone, will be quite a bit shorter than her normal foot.
Jim's dream of retirement is to devote full time to his bird treatment and learning center. Eagles from the oil spill were brought here. Of the 22 he received, only 11 now remain.
The eagles that we got were the very sickest of the sick. You have to get them calmed down. I like to talk to them. Cut, 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 cut. Cut, cut.
As Jim cares for these eagles, he weighs them, talks to them, and tries to avoid being torn by their talons, sometimes successfully. Through this experience, an eagle he named One Wing caught his imagination and captured his love.
When he came in, he was just a stack of feathers that couldn't even wiggle, and his wing was totally destroyed and had to be amputated. And since he had an amputated wing and would never have a chance to go back to the wild, why, I went ahead and I said, we need blood for a transfusion. We're going to have to use this eagle. So we took blood from him, and instead of getting weaker and maybe dying, why, he just got tougher and stronger. And 2 days later, we would need blood again, and maybe another day we'd need blood. And he just kept giving blood far too often than he should have. But that blood then enabled other birds to survive. And he is such a fighter that I've become very emotionally attached to him. And this kind of a bird eats seeds, and he also eats a lot of insects.
Jim often makes presentations of local school children to his wild birds, and both seem to share his sense of wonder and expanded community.
You can't find anyone anywhere, if you give them a chance to see a group of wild birds, that isn't interested. Now this is Oliver. He's pretty neat, isn't he? Doesn't he look mean? Not very, does he? He looks like you could cuddle him up real close, but you know what happens when you cuddle him up real close? He takes his feet and goes. Now we have 2 hours. Everybody in that room is going to grow. And from that, I think maybe we can get people who are starting to realize that we as humans can't just be the takers. We can't just keep taking the rainforest at 100 acres per minute. We have to be able to live with the other species that are on the earth. If you were to take all of the birds out of your environment like that, it would be such a crushing kind of feeling. People would just stop and wonder what happened. They wouldn't know what it was.
Grumpy is a great horned owl.
I think birds are kind of like flying flowers. You know, they're such beauty and such variation.
Jim's passion for wild birds doesn't stop at the end of the day.
According to my grandmother, I started carving when I was 6.
In his free time, he carves birds with a small group of friends. They have met and carved in this garage-turned workshop for over 13 years. Jim's love of carving wild birds is so contagious, he even got me involved. Not only has he won impressive awards for his work as a veterinarian, he also has won national fame for his beautiful, detailed carvings.
Constantly using the term of growing inside, but that's the humanness that all of us need to retain. And by having the birds in our environment, we grow each time we see one.
During our long, dark, and sometimes bitter cold days of deep winter, feelings of isolation and loneliness can settle in with the snow. Alaskans, like other Northerners, have found some pretty creative ways to dig out from under those feelings. Here in interior villages like Minto, the Athabascan people have learned and loved the fiddle music brought downriver to them by Scottish and French-Canadian fur trappers nearly a century and a half ago.
Yeah. Cut your A3, G3, E4. Sit up straight.
Bergman Silas and Arthur Frank are elders, intent on passing the fiddling tradition down to their grandchildren, Israel Silas and Katrina Frank.
You know, when I first bought a violin for her, I bought a little half-size violin, but that long she was only 4 years old. And it cost $350. When I brought it back, my old lady got mad. She told me, "You're wasting money for nothing. Spending money at $350 on that little kid, don't even know nothing." That grabbed me pretty hard, and I thought, I'm going to teach her. My son, you tell me you're too hard on that kid. But I don't want to back out on that.
You're going to get your $350 worth. So you started at age 4, huh?
Yeah.
Did your granddad teach you everything you knew, or did you pick up some on your own before that?
My grandpa taught me everything.
Do you know many other kids that play in town here, or just a very few, or what?
All I know is just me and her.
But why not the guitar? I know a number of you played guitar, but you think the fiddle is more popular?
I wouldn't say that, but because right now...
Not in front of a guitar player, anyway.
Yeah, no. Right now it's a rock and roll.
I see.
And there's old Athabascan music came from the fiddle.
The village of Minto is home to several both beginning and accomplished Athabascan fiddlers. It's in villages such as this that a few fiddlers will get together to hear and play the music they so love. But once a year, from as far away as Alaska's west coast to Canada on the east, villagers will gather together at the old-time Fiddlers Festival to see old friends, to make music, and to dance the night away.
The first year we came here, and did the fiddling, we were riding in what they say cloud 9 for about 6 months. We couldn't believe it.
It's a good feeling you get when you come into the room and see all your friends there, maybe friends that you haven't seen for years. We hug each other and we're happy to see each other. We visit and gossip.
The real history of Athabascan fiddling is way back 1847, 1848. That's when the Hudson's Bay people established a fort in Fort Yukon. And a lot of employees were Scots and English, and they, you know how Scots love fiddling and then the music, so they bought their fiddles just for their own pleasure, you know, and then they found that the natives really liked that sound of the fiddle. It became Athabascan fiddling because we incorporated it into our way of life.
This relaxes you totally.
Why the fiddle, would you think, is so popular?
Beautiful music, you know. If you can hear a real good fiddler, he can make that the sound beautiful, you know. And you just can't help but loving it.
in all the native villages, there's always fiddling and potlatches, so I actually grew up around listening to it. And then my grandfather was the late Chief Isaias Lula, and he always had big potlatches at his house. And then that night they always fiddled and danced, you know, the jig square dance. And then when they played the fast hold-ons, I was really inspired, you know, by it. So I just wanted to play.
When I was a very little girl, about 6 years old, I used to camp a lot with my aunt and uncle, and they had a phonograph that you could wind up. So they would let me play their records. They had one that was called Carter Family.
Keep on the sunny side.
And I would wind it up. I was only 6 years old, and I would sing along with that one. Keep on the sunny side of life, and I still like that song.
Of course, you know, I begged my mother to buy me a fiddle. You know, we didn't have no money, you know, but there's always a way if you have determination. So she made me earn my money around villages, you know, 50 cents here, $1 there, and doing the chores, you know. And she got a fiddle from Sears Roebuck, I think $29 complete, and that was big money them days, you know. And when I got the fiddle, I was really proud of it.
This is an old song that I love to sing. I learned it when I was a little girl. It's called Keep on the Sunny Side of Life. Native women, we're all kind of shy, and it's in our culture to be that way. My mother taught me when I was a young girl, we never looked at people and just smiled at them, you know, like the women can do now. We are supposed to keep our eyes kind of down. And so I was really shy to get up on the stage and sing. There's a dark and stormy side of life. There's a bright and sunny side too. Mike and some other friends told me, you can do it. Go ahead and do it. So I did, and I got a good response. Everybody was happy to see me up there. And keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. I'm not a great singer, but I try. The Athabascan Fiddlers, we don't have competition. No competition at all. It's a sharing with each other.
How did they teach you? Nobody reads music, I understand.
Nobody reads music. They just get the fiddle and start playing, you know, like, of course, there's a lot of things we do wrong at that level of learning, you know. We learn by ear.
And children continue to learn by ear, thanks to fiddlers like Bill Stevens. As part of the Arts in the School program, Bill teaches youngsters, and it doesn't take them long to move from the audience to performing on stage.
Everybody ready? Yeah. But last year, at the Fiddle Festival, the students, 10 of our students were audience, you know, down here. They were having a field trip. Hey, everybody, don't play. Don't play. Just come on up here. We got to get organized, yeah. And they got inspired, so they went home, and then the school called me in March. So I spent 2 weeks with them. I gave them the basics. Yeah, okay. Hey, Patty. You know, on the last time, you should give them a cue, you know, just before they stop.
Yeah.
Put your hand out
My
or something.
son said he had to go to the bathroom, so
Well, I'll tell you that the formal violin instructor, that they're very strict. You can spend days and weeks just to position and hold in the fiddle. And then us country fiddler were more simpler and more relaxed, you know. Position. Charlie. Position. Actually, I have 4 weeks of instruction for them now, you know, like two weeks last year, 2 weeks this year. And then I leave them material on how to practice.
This town is your town. This town is my town. From snowy mountains to the Yukon River.
And now they're going to perform tomorrow at 7 o'clock at Eels Hall.
I'd like to say that 1 year ago at this Fiddle Festival, these kids were here on a field trip. They were a part of the audience. They never even touched a fiddle before.
Well, I get a great pleasure from teaching the kids because I like kids. And then when they're interested, they really learn fast. And then it gives me great pleasure and great sense of pride when I see somebody performing that I've taught, you know.
This town is your town. This town is my town. From snowy mountains to the Yukon River. All of the dishes way down to landfill. 10 hours late, you and me.
They get up there and they really do well. And then I can see that they're very proud of themselves because their parents are there watching. Yeah, it's just a part of it's growing up, you know. It's part of us.
Well, one time they said we were going to close at 5 a.m., so we never stopped playing till 6 a.m. They couldn't stop us. We just kept dancing steady.
It was fun. So good fun. Clean fun.
Those early trappers brought in and left behind something more precious than the fur they came here to find. That gift has become a joyful cultural tradition, and the sound of music and laughter will continue to echo down through the long winter nights of interior Alaska, so long as grandparents like Bergman and Arthur are willing to pass on the tradition of fiddling to youngsters who in turn will someday be grandparents themselves.
Well, if we want to hand down something to our grandkids, I think that important that they learn from their grandfather, and when we get older or we're gone, they can say, my grandfather taught me this.
I'm pleased to note that my old friend Bill Spear finally has cleaned up his act. No longer does he practice law nor feel compelled to camouflage his wit and whimsy behind the suit and tie of a proper bureaucrat. Even while as my Deputy Commissioner of Labor, Bill, upon occasion, evidenced that beneath that bureaucratic bondage was a unique freewheeling spirit which struggled to get out. And he did get out. Bill made a successful transition from low-key attorney to offbeat artist. And now his high-quality pins with personality are worn worldwide. In his Juneau studio, he showed us how he creates them.
Well, this is kind of the process of how I make these things, right? I mean, my part is fairly limited to drawing it, but here's a drawing. This happens to be a de Havilland beaver. I'm sure you've logged a few hours on one of these, right? And then I scan this into my computer. Sometimes, not all the time, but when you want to really be precise. You put anything in wrong, these airplane people are on you like a pack of dogs, right? I'm sure there's something wrong with a number here. I put my phone number on it. But this is the process. See, the sympathy you got to have is for your enamelers.
And this is what?
Well, this is copper. And actually, it's recycled copper from old ships.
Oh.
These will last for 4,000 years, I guarantee you. And if it doesn't, bring it back.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I'll only show you some of these pins. We got all pins, we got them. So we got body parts, you know, like a brain. How about a little epidermal cross-section?
Who comes in here desperately seeking body parts? Any particular type? Nobody has bought that.
Actually, the hearts, we sell a lot of them on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
and then you can wear them with the Manhattan pin, and, you know, it'd be kind of a hip, I like Manhattan type of deal. Yeah, we got a little bit of everything, airplanes and snakes and bugs. But this is one of my earlier ones, and it's nothing original. It's an old biker theme, you know, ride hard, die free. You know, this is how you live your life. We really sold a lot of them, particularly to lawyers. And then, you know, then I started satirizing my own work, like free rides, die hard. Then Howard Weaver at the Daily News said that, you know, he wanted some for his writers, and this is write hard, die free.
Right.
It keeps spinning on itself, which is great. That's one of the reasons I really like him. I think it's kind of like the rock and roll of visual arts, you know. Let me put this one on you. I mean, in this town, you're nothing without a Bill Spear pen. Yeah, you got to have one at least. Most people wear several.
They put you in the pen at night if you don't wear one?
Well, no, I just give them a lot of trouble. Where's your pen?
Bill's unorthodox style is expressed not only in his visual rock and roll of pins, as he calls them. On those frequent rainy days in Juneau, you won't find Bill jogging the inside track. You'll find him instead in an empty parking garage playing roller hockey.
The roller hockey thing, I don't know, it's just weird enough that, you know, I'd never be happy playing basketball or something, you know, ordinary like that.
Willie, how you doing?
All right, Governor, how are you?
Fine and dandy.
Want to take a ride?
Yeah, you betcha.
We can race some of these lighters.
Bill found the freedom here to change careers, to follow the tug of his imagination, and to create a life with time to enjoy the beauty of Southeast Alaska.
I just love to go out in the channel and kind of make a tour around the place, see what's going on, and sometimes I just lie around out there and read, and it's quiet and wonderful.
Tell me, Bill, what's so special about this place so far as you're concerned?
You know, I got a lot of support from people on something that was a really pretty far-fetched, goofy deal. I mean, people were just really supportive, and they'd come and buy pins when they knew it. And I don't think that would happen in a lot of places, because I've lived in, you know, like a similarly sized town or even a larger small city in the Midwest. I mean, if you tried to pull something like this, they'd kill you, you know. And if you were in the city, you know, oh, you're going to make jewelry. I mean, boy, that'd be really competitive, and they'd, you know, really, oh, you shouldn't do that. You don't have any training in being a jeweler. Oh, you can't do that. I mean, here I was, the chairman of the board of what amounted to the largest venture capital bank in the world, right? The next, you know, then I exit for 6 months. I come back, and I got these little pins, you know. And, you know, all these guys, high finance guys around town, you know, so I could just see them, read their faces, you know. Oh, yeah, Bill, what happened to pencils, you know?
And apples, huh?
Yeah, right.
And you had a little stand.
Poor Bill, let's buy a pin from him, you know.
Whether Bill is creating a body part pin, playing roller hockey, or plying the waters around Juneau, he knows that Alaska has space and support for those who follow their dreams, especially those whose dreams might be just a little bit different.
I think there's a definite attitude up here where anybody can do anything.
The germination of it, I think, started with my characters that I used. And that gave me the idea that, boy, I could just keep coming up with more and more of these people. Then somehow that got together in my head that we could put a radio program together based on this place called...
It's the end of the road. Welcome once again to the end of the road, brought to you from beautiful Homer, Alaska, a good place to pull over and...
In this magical place called home, two good friends, ordinary lads with extraordinary talent, created a national radio show. Tom Bodette was a carpenter with a way with words. Johnny B, a school teacher with a passion for the piano. Together they bring us their stories and music from their home at the end of the road.
In the Winnebago report, not a single RV has been spotted in town all week. The End of the Road Review is pleased to report an all clear for the season.
While Tom walks us to the end of the road with his words, Johnny makes us feel at home there with his music. Tom and Johnny view themselves as just a couple of ordinary, everyday guys, which is in itself extraordinary for two such extremely talented people. That lack of pretension is one of the major attractions here at the end of the road, where you can mentally kick off your shoes and relax in their company like two warm, long-time old friends, though you may have just met.
Yeah, when we mentioned that on that program about Save the Bugs, it really did bring in a rash of letters.
Well, we had an Insect Rights Day, and we had a march on state capitol last week, and we released 250,000 flies.
We're ordinary people, and all of our talent are just ordinary folks with other jobs. But we own this radio show, and we're in control of it. What I write back there in that office goes over the air, and what Johnny B decides to bang on that piano is what they hear out there in the world at large. And I think that's what holds it all together, is it's sort of the little guy's got something here.
One of the ideal jobs is a job that you don't have to bring home with you. And this job I bring home with me and I live and sleep with in my head continuously, but I love it. I always know now that I have to practice and I have to get down to that piano. And I am a ham. And I love being on stage, and I know that next month I get to do it again.
Ruby was born with the patience of a saint, but she developed even more than that, thanks to her curmudgeonly old goat of a boyfriend, Argus Winslow.
Here at the end of the road, folks are as comfortable with the characters Tom dreams up as they are in the company of longtime real friends. And even though Tom's characters are born of his imagination, they take on a life of their own.
Sometimes I don't know where I'm going with it, but again, I trust my characters to remain interesting to me, and so far they have. And sometimes these stories go to places I never thought they would, and I'm as delighted as I hope the people who hear them are.
The look of it.
Tom may not know where his characters may be going,
It looks just like
but
him.
we know they come from his heart.
And Ruby sat back and looked at the face of her friend, letting him believe everything he saw. Even if it wasn't real, and even if it wasn't familiar, it was still a place he deserved to be for at least a little while longer.
Ah, yeah! Mr. Jerry Lee Lewis.
I started playing the piano in kindergarten. I hated it at times. I'll be honest, my parents forced me to play the piano, and I'm sure glad they did. It's almost unheard of to me to try to make it as an entertainer in Alaska. There's not a market for it. You know, the market for musicians is the major cities. That's why I feel so fortunate. Just right here, just today we got, how many? 6 dozen clams, 4 dozen mussels. I'm expecting about 30 crab right here. Oh, no! Yeah, Gotta stick to piano playing, you know? Crabbing ain't a life for me.
The personal friendship between Johnny and Tom and their families started long before they merged words and music. And now the End of the Road family has grown to include the people of Homer, who give their time and support to the program.
We're still very much a startup company, and we have a wonderful station list, but not much of a sponsors list yet. So it's a financial struggle, and we have relied very heavily on volunteer help, which we get a tremendous dose of. Cindy up on the lights, she volunteers, and she's nursing her infant up there at the light board, and it's a wonderful group of folks.
You can say that you're leading me on, but it's just what I want you to do. I want to leave you, don't want to stay here, don't want to spend another day here.
And the talent, of course, just oozes out of the woodwork around Homer here in particular, and Alaska in general.
Somewhere over a rainbow.
We like the idea of using talent that is undiscovered and fresh, because that's really what we're here for.
Well, that's all the time we have for visiting this week on the End of the Road.
We're not making any money off of it yet, and in fact, we're subsidizing it. And why would we continue to do something like this, and why do our volunteers continue to come out for us, and the community continue to support us and all that, is a little mysterious to me. Again, I don't like to look at things like that too closely, because you don't want to break something so fragile.
While the love and support of friends and community remains as strong as ever, the financial future of the End of the Road became fragile.
Pull over and park it, Edna. It's Tom Bodette and Johnny B. It's the End of the Road.
When they decided to close the show early this year, we visited them for their final program.
Brought to you one last time from the last frontier.
While it was the end of the road for their radio program, for Tom and Johnny it was only a detour. With their talents, we know we'll meet them further on down other Alaskan trails.
We don't feel all that broke up over it. It's kind of like when you get to Homer, driving down the road. It's not like you start complaining because there's no more road, because you got there, and we feel like we've just finished a real good job. We're very happy with what we've done.
Boy, this is fun, Tim.
The idea of the End of the Road isn't done. You know, we've still got all these characters and good stuff. So I've got a book I'm going to finish. It'll be out this fall.
Well, I was born to boogie, and I'm gonna continue with my boogie, and I'm gonna write a lot of music. So you'll be hearing the music for sure.
We're proud of what we did. We're proud of you. One of the greatest measures of success of any venture is that everyone parts as friends. And I think we can say without a doubt that we've done that. So my friends, it's time to say so long and good life to you. Next week we won't be here, but we will be someplace, and we'll be thinking of you and missing you. You can bet on it. From the beautiful state of Alaska, our home and America's last frontier, I'm Tom Bodette.
And I was Johnny B.
And we'll see you down the road.
The Gold Stream Valley outside Fairbanks is a place of great natural beauty. Here one can build a life close to the city, and yet have much of the best of wilderness living. On a bluff overlooking the valley, Mary Shields and her husband John Mathai recently built their splendid log home. For Mary, this valley gives her room to run her dogs and savor the beauty and solitude of interior Alaska that she has so cherished since she first saw it.
Well, I came in 1965. I fell in love with Alaska. I guess just the country, the wide open spaces. You could go somewhere and not be rubbing shoulders with everyone else when you went there.
Her four-legged family adopted Mary almost 15 years ago. They've taken her along on the 1,000-mile Yukon quest and allowed her to become the first woman to complete the Iditarod in 1974. But Mary is more interested in their companionship than she is in competition.
They're all part of a team, but they each have their own little personalities that really endear them to me. When I think of Schnitzel, dependable comes to mind. Uproar is a big baby, silly, kind of a gentle dog. Slate is more hyper than most of my dogs. Flopsy's real submissive. Nellie is the mother dog of the kennel. Ahua's a little frightened of other people. Solo's the wild maniac. Captain's a young dog. He's kind of like a teenager. Little Joe, loyal, hard worker. Jack, he's the clown. Sometimes he thinks he's king of Sergeant Preston's dog team. Jay's a sweetheart. He's one of my favorites.
I overheard you say something to the effect that you had selected a dog that you thought would be a good leader, but he was worthless, and you had named him Jay Hammond.
I never said he was worthless. I thought he was going to be a good leader, and the day he needed his name was the day you were giving your farewell speech, which was a poem, and I was so moved by that, I thought, well, this dog deserves to be named after someone I admired.
I thought I should meet such an admirable animal. Yeah, you're pretty well behaved for a politician. Once introduced, Mary asked me to join them on the trail, the best place to enjoy the warm company of good friends, even at 40 below.
I can't think of not going out with him every day. I'm sure I run 7 days a week most of the time, maybe 6 days every now and then. I'm addicted to it. I just have to get out by midday when the sun's high.
I suspect that a lot of folks think that you're simply run and play up here and don't have to make a living. They romanticize people who live in the bush in Alaska and live off the land, so to speak. And that doesn't taste too good after a while. You really have to have some other source of living, don't you?
Right, especially if you're feeding a dog team. Our philosophy is what we don't earn, we don't spend, and we perhaps live a little simpler in some respects, have a garden. We try to hunt for moose in the fall. We fish for the fish and maybe do a little more for ourselves.
Mary and John each work close to home. John walks a short 10-minute trail to his shop where he works as a master woods craftsman, something that has given him a lifetime of pleasure.
I grew up around it. I mean, there were always tools around home, and I fiddled around with it as a kid, and I've been doing it ever since I can remember. I enjoy the smell and the feel of wood, and I enjoy the multitude of different colors and hues and textures, and it's just a wonderful media to work in.
In the summer, I work with the Riverboat Discovery on the Tanana River outside of Fairbanks, talk about dog sledding and answer questions for them. Hi.
Here are the books and the tapes you wanted.
I made a videotape a couple of years ago.
Videotape for what?
On dog sledding, just to kind of show the chores and the satisfactions out of having a dog team. I like just the subsistence activities, the chores, but I like to keep my brain working too and have a intellectual challenge, a creative thing. I've written a couple of books. I'm intoxicated again. The bright, windy March weather always treats me this way. My restless spirit longs to wander, to watch the winter world shake loose and yawn and stretch like a husky sled dog in the morning. The land and the living insist on celebrating. We have lived with the challenges of the cold and the dark. Now all we can do is smile back at the sun.
Despite the beauty of her valley home, each spring, Mary is drawn to the unbroken wilderness. Each year in March, she and her best friends take what for them is a Spring Vacation, a month-long, 1,000-mile journey north.
On March 21st, though, spring equinox, sunrise is probably about 6 in the morning, sunset 6 in the evening, so you have a full 12 hours of brilliant daylight. There's trails in, the dogs are in shape, I'm in shape, and it's just the time to get out and celebrate. The best of winter is in March. And I hope as long as someone can tie my hands on the steering bow, I'll be out there.
When Mary returns home, she brings with her a renewed energy to share with us the lessons of life she's learned on the trail.
I guess I'm trying to tell people to find something in your life that you really love and go out and do it. For me, it happens to be dog sledding. I'm just real impressed that nature has adapted life to live up here, and the more I'm out there, the more I learn about it, and just makes me feel real small, but a part of that world too, and I just feel it's my home.